I mean, he's so blatantly stupid. He's a punk, he's a dog, he's a pig, he's a con, a bullshit artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't do his homework, doesn't care, thinks he's gaming society, doesn't pay his taxes. He's an idiot. Colin Powell said it best. He's a national disaster. He's an embarrassment to this country. Look at the lame, inane things that he said. He's so stupid, he can't even say anything clever or smooth. He's a moron. But he's a scary one. And in all seriousness, and we know it here, people have to get out and vote and vote and vote.
So De Niro calls Trump a sociopath, and Trump fires back like he's auditioning for the role. The only problem? He's already playing himself. This isn't just another Hollywood versus DC shouting match. It's the perfect loop of ego proving ego. You'll see how De Niro's words weren't an insult, they were a mirror, and Trump looked right into it and lost his cool. Why did a legendary actor step into the psychiatrist's chair on live TV and diagnose a president? That was the question everyone asked when Robert De Niro sat down, looked dead into the camera, and started using words you usually hear in therapy, not tabloids. Malignant narcissist? Sociopath. These weren't insults tossed for ratings. They sounded more like a professional assessment from a man who had lived long enough to recognize crazy when he sees it.
He is a malignant narcissist. He's a socio-psychopath. He's created some new language as far as describing somebody in his mental condition. It's so frightening and scary, and he's dangerous.
The moment started casual, just another celebrity chat, until De Niro dropped the calm tone that usually comes before a storm. He didn't shout. He didn't deliver one of his gangster growls. Instead, he said it like a doctor giving a diagnosis. Clinical, slow, almost polite. He described Trump as so blatantly stupid, a punk, a dog, a pig, and yes, a con artist. You could see the host freeze for a second, unsure if De Niro had just slipped into a new role. The gangster tough guy from the movies suddenly turned into Freud with better lighting. He wasn't ranting, he was explaining, like a teacher breaking down a bad science project. According to De Niro, Trump's favorite words, the biggest, the best, the most tremendous, were not confidence. They were the verbal version of elevator music, loud enough to distract, empty enough to forget. The irony was brutal. De Niro didn't need to yell. The evidence spoke for itself.
Makes me so angry that this country has gotten to this point, that this fool, this bozo, has wound up where he has. He talks how he wants to punch people in the face. Well, I'd like to punch him in the face. This is somebody that we want for president? I don't think so. What I care about is the direction of this country. And what I'm very, very worried about is that it might go in the wrong direction with someone like Donald Trump.
What started as late-night banter started turning into a moral warning. De Niro said what many had tiptoed around, that Trump's ego wasn't just large, it was dangerous. He warned about power without conscience, fame without competence. He even looped in Trump's business record, bankrupt casinos, a failed airline, and that cursed Trump vodka that couldn't sell in New York. To De Niro, these weren't setbacks, they were symptoms, each one proving that Trump's so-called genius was just rebranded failure. Then came the performance twist. De Niro mocked Trump's style the way a comedian tears down a bad magician. The orange glow, the hair frozen in time, the constant pouting. It was a self-parody that didn't need writers. He called Trump a walking punchline before the jokes even start. When you looked at Trump's obsession with appearances, it stopped being vanity and started looking like pathology. De Niro was calm, surgical even, as he sliced through the bluster and left behind nothing but ego dust.
Our democracy is at risk in this election?
I think that it is. I always keep saying democracy is great, of course, but democracy people take for granted. It's a word that some people don't even understand. They take it for granted. It's about right and wrong, period. The guy's a monster. It's beyond wrong. It's almost like he wants to do the most horrible things that he can think of in order to get a rise out of us. I don't know what it is, but he's been doing it and doing it.
By the time the cameras dimmed, It was clear the term sociopath wasn't some Hollywood insult. It was the summary of years of public behavior that needed no translation. The labels matched the footage, and the audience knew it. De Niro had just delivered the most polite middle finger in television history. And then, just as the crew started packing up the set, Trump made sure everyone understood the diagnosis. By proving it himself, live in real time. What's the worst way to respond when someone calls you a sociopath? By acting exactly like one. That's what Grumpy Trumpy did the moment De Niro finished speaking. The public hadn't even finished debating whether De Niro went too far before Trump started threatening to end him. It came fast, like a reflex, and sounded less like politics and more like a schoolyard meltdown. He wasn't defending himself or arguing the facts. He was attacking the man. The whole thing had an energy of someone flipping the board after losing the game.
He's more than that to me. He's sick. He is really, genuinely a sick person that somehow has been allowed into our system. And I'm not calling him, I'm tired of calling him names. He just can't be anywhere near the office of the presidency.
You've played a lot of bad guys. Would you ever play Donald Trump?
Never. There's nothing about him, there's not one redeeming thing in him that I can see, ever.
Trump's reaction wasn't calm or clever. It was pure fury dressed up as a press statement. He started calling De Niro a punk, a dog, a pig, and a con artist. You could almost hear the same tired rhythm of complaint he's used for years. The biggest, the best, the most unfairly treated. It was like De Niro handed him a script called How to Prove My Point, and Trump read it line by line without realizing he was doing it. If De Niro had said Trump treated critics like enemies, Trump immediately made sure that was on tape. His threat to end De Niro sounded absurdly personal. Instead of brushing it off like a president, he went in swinging like a guy arguing over the last slot on karaoke night. He made it all about betrayal, loyalty, and revenge, the usual grumpy, Trumpy greatest hits. It's like someone calling you sensitive, and you burst into tears to prove them wrong. What made it worse was that it followed the same pattern that's been there forever. Every time someone criticizes him, whether it's a journalist or an actor, Trump turns it into a war. He doesn't see critics, he sees enemies. The slogans change, but the mood doesn't. De Niro had mocked this habit, calling it power as spectacle, saying Trump's loyalty only lasts until someone stops clapping. And right on cue, Trump acted like a mob boss whose ego got scratched.
Yeah, to me, it's more than heartbreaking. It's a really, really serious situation we're in. I don't want to bring people down, but I mean,
No.
it's like,
Yeah, I think they came pre-down.
yeah, well, it's like a pall around, certain things. It's like living in an abusive household. You feel you don't know what's going to happen next, what crazy thing is going to happen next, what's going to make you say, what the hell's going on?
Yeah,
And
because
it's
only
like,
one angry person gets to say what is real.
exactly
what the truth is.
Exactly, and the truth is not from him, that's for sure.
The language in his response was proof of everything De Niro mocked. All the familiar exaggerations. Biggest revenge, tremendous payback. Nobody's seen anything like it. It was showmanship, pretending to be strength. Trump's obsession with sounding larger than life just made him look smaller and angrier. It was De Niro's critique turning into prophecy right in front of the world. What looked like a fight between a movie star and a politician turned into something closer to a live diagnosis. The meltdown became the evidence. By reacting the way he did, Trump turned a few words from an actor into confirmation of every clinical term thrown at him. And the message was clear. He doesn't just lash out at De Niro, he lashes out at anyone who interrupts his spotlight. But this wasn't just a celebrity feud anymore. It was a small preview of how he sees power, loyalty, and the democracy meant to keep both in check. De Niro's roast wasn't entertainment. It was a warning sign flashing ahead of 2024. He wasn't acting, he was predicting. He said clearly that if Trump came back to power, Americans could kiss these freedoms goodbye. He warned that elections would be over, done, and that if Trump ever got back in, he will never leave. Back then, some people laughed it off like another celebrity rant, but the more Trump talks, the less funny that line sounds. What seemed exaggerated in the moment now feels like a political weather report that called the storm early.
Trump, this kind of government will perish from the earth. I don't mean to scare you. No, wait, maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms goodbye that we all take for granted. And elections, forget about it. That's over. That's done. If he gets in, I can tell you right now, he will never leave.
De Niro saw something deeper than bad politics. He saw a man whose ego came before country, before truth, before anything that couldn't be slapped on a hat and sold for profit. He wasn't trying to sound prophetic. He was calling out a pattern. Trump doesn't just want headlines. He needs them like oxygen. Every outrage keeps him on stage. He's not campaigning, he's performing. De Niro pointed to this circus and said the quiet part out loud. When leadership turns into a stage show, democracy becomes the punchline. Running a country like a reality show might get ratings, but it doesn't pay the electric bill. You can't fix healthcare with slogans, and you can't run foreign policy on "you're fired." But Trump's rallies keep running on the same formula. Big lights, loud music, revenge monologues disguised as speeches. They work because they feel emotional, not because they make sense. The crowd doesn't come for policy, they come to watch him rage. It's not politics anymore. It's performance art with merch tables.
Redeemable in him. It can't be. It cannot be. If he wins the election, you won't be on the show anymore. He'll come looking for me. There'll be things that happen that none of us can imagine. That's what happens in that kind of a dictatorship.
De Niro described this perfectly without using big words. He said Trump's movement was a kind of performance without principle. The show replaces the system. Every time Trump stirs chaos, his followers see action. Every time institutions push back, he calls it proof the system is rigged. It's a loop that keeps him powerful without actually doing anything. The policies are vague, the promises recycled, but the spectacle, that's the point. It's also why De Niro called it autocracy wrapped in merchandising. The hats, the shirts, the flags, it's all part of the brand. The White House becomes the ultimate stage, and the Constitution becomes a prop. Trump's ego fits perfectly inside that business model because it's never been about governing. It's about selling the character of Trump, the great fighter against invisible enemies. What De Niro warned about wasn't one man breaking democracy. It was democracy getting addicted to his show. The scary part is how right he's turning out to be. As Trump builds his next move for 2024, the warnings sound less like acting and more like reporting from the future. The roast aged into a playbook. Every sociopath symptom turned out to be a forecast. And that brings us to the strangest irony of all. De Niro wasn't mocking Trump. He was diagnosing the democracy that keeps giving him airtime.
What do you say to those who say, I don't like the guy, but I'm going to vote for him? What's your message to them?
I don't understand it. I don't think they understand how dangerous it will be if he ever, God forbid, becomes president. I don't think they really understand. And historically, from what I see, even in Nazi Germany, they had it with Hitler. They don't take him serious. He looks like a clown, acts like a clown. Mussolini, same thing. These guys, I don't know what.
Trump's reaction didn't destroy De Niro. It completed the diagnosis. The tantrum turned satire into evidence, exposing the same traits De Niro had calmly pointed out. It wasn't politics anymore. It was pathology in real time. The irony is rich. The loudest man in the room proving he can't stand being seen. De Niro's roast turned the tough guy act into a tragic comedy. Power shrank into parody, and the myth melted into laughter. Sometimes the loudest denial is the quietest confession, and the real power lies in laughing at what tries so hard to make you afraid.